Hey, what's going on, guys? Brian from Harmonic here. Here is a lesson that I'm doing. Someone requested for me to do a lesson on how you would harmonize leads, and you know, there's more than one way to do this, but basically I'm just going to give you the basics of how, you know, if you're trying to figure out how Iron Maiden or some of those old school 80s metal bands came up with their harmonies. Basically, the first place you want to start is looking to the thirds. Okay, so basically the first thing you want to do is you want to know what key you're in. Okay, so these chords that I'm soloing over, or that I was soloing over in the intro, are I did A. It's just assuming they're all power chords. It's an A to a C to a G to an F to an E. Okay, so those are all chords that are found in the key of A minor. Okay, if you look at your circle of fifths, you can see that all these chords fall right into the key of A minor. So if you're in the key of A minor, your A minor scale would be the scale that you would use to, you know, solo over this particular progression. And of course, you can make these power chords into full major or minor chords once you know what key you're in. Okay, so we've established that we're in the key of A minor. You can, instead of playing an A power chord, C power chord, G power chord, F power, you can play an A minor chord to a C major chord, to a G major chord, to an F major chord, and then you could either do an E minor chord, but usually when you're in a minor key, they make that chord major. Okay, I'll post a link to why that's the case. That's the whole harmonic minor scale concept. When you're in a minor key, you make the 5-chord major. It just sounds better. Okay, so you know your chords, you know your key. So basically, you know, you can play the A minor scale anywhere up and down the neck of the guitar. So let me just zoom in and show you a fretboard diagram of this A minor scale. So here you have your A minor scale spanned up and down the neck, and you know, I started out this lead up around here, up around this area. I was kind of just moving down the G string, okay, and you know, it was going. So let's just start out with that. So that's the 12th fret bend of the G string. 12th fret bend on the G string, coming down to the 10th fret of the G string, coming down to the 9th fret of the G string. Okay, so it's a full step bend because that would be the next note in this particular scale. So you're going from here to here. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to count up 3 scale notes from your starting note. Okay, it's 3 notes that are in the scale. So you can come here. Okay, or you can come here. Okay, just 3 notes. This is your first one. This is your second. This is your third. Okay, so the first note was bent. So the harmonized note is also going to be bent. But you don't want to bend the harmonized note a full step, because if you bend the harmonized note a full step, which is now this 12th fret of the B string, if you bend that a full step, you're going to achieve a note that's not in key anymore, okay? This 14th fret of the B string is not in key. So if you bend it a full step, it just won't sound right. So you're only going to bend it a half step. Okay, so the original guitar is going a full step. Okay, and the harmonized guitar is going. Okay, why those other notes? Because basically I'm just following what the first guitar is doing. The first guitar is bending a full step and then coming down, just not skipping any notes of the scale, just going. So you're now on this note for the second guitar, the harmonized guitar. Okay, we found our starting point by counting 3 notes up in the scale. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. Okay? Bending that note because that's what the guitar number 1 did. Bending it only a half step because that's would keep you in key. You don't want to go out of key. And then just walking down the scale. And you basically just follow that process for the rest of what guitar number 1 is doing, okay? So you have... Oops. Okay, so the second part was that. 7th fret of the G string, bending a full strap, releasing, and then coming down, just walking down the scale again. Okay, so how do you harmonize that part? Again, you do the same process. You just start from the original note that you're trying to harmonize, and you count up 3 notes in the scale. So 1. Okay, so this would be where the next guitar starts. Okay, 3 notes up. You could play it. You can play it there too. You can play it in a lot of different spots. You can play these things anywhere, just wherever you find is the most comfortable for you to play. Okay, so guitar number 1 is going. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the first note of the harmonized part is a full step bend because that's the note that would be in key. If you only bend it half step, that would be out of key. So you want to bend it a full step to remain in key. Okay, here on the 10th fret of the G string. Okay, so guitar number 1, guitar number 2. Alright, so putting them together. Guitar number 2. Okay, see how this is working? So all you're doing is you're just counting up 3 notes and doing exactly the same thing that the first guitar is doing. You're just staying 100% within the key. So if you're going to do a bend, if guitar number 1 does a bend, guitar number 2 wants to do a bend. But sometimes guitar number 2 is not going to do the same bend as guitar number 1 because that may not result with you staying in key, okay? And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how you start a harmony, okay? So you can find other harmonies, okay? You can harmonize with sixths or, you know, you can use fifths and all kinds of other sevenths and stuff like that. But just, you know, the basics of harmonization is you find the third. That's the prettiest sounding harmony. That's what most of Iron Maiden's and all those metal bands' harmonies are based upon. All right. So one other thing to note is once it got to the last part of the solo, which is basically being played over the F to an E. So the progression again was. Okay, and like I said, you usually want to make that chord. This is a 5 chord in this particular case, key of A minor. The E in the key of A minor would be the 5 chord. You usually want to make that a major chord. And by making that a major chord, that results in what is known as the harmonic minor scale. Again, I'll post you the links on what that is. But that gives you this one extra kind of weird note that you can throw in there. It's the harmonic minor note. Okay, if you were to just play the A natural minor scale, it would be. Okay, I'm right around here to the 5th to 8th fret. Alright, so you're just raising that note to here. So if you want to throw in that note over that last chord, you can do that as well, alright? Because that's what the lead guitar was doing. The guitar number 1 was playing a note from the E chord. Guitar number 2 can throw in that harmonic minor note and it gives you that cool type of sound. So the last part was, let me play the whole thing. Okay, so this last one, how do we harmonize that? Well, you start out on your first note, right here, 5th fret of the G string, count up 3 notes. Okay, so the first note is going to be bending, just like guitar number 1 is doing. You're only going to be bending a half step because that's going to keep you in key. Alright, so you're on the 9th fret of the G string. 9th fret of the G string, the next note within the scale here is only a half step away. Okay. Alright, so guitar number 1 was going. That would be following exactly what guitar number 1's doing. Or you can go ahead and you can just go. You can throw in that note there, okay, because that's that harmonic minor note. That's this note. That's what makes it E major. Okay, if I'm going too fast on this harmonic minor stuff, don't worry, just check out the other lessons. I go much more in depth into all that stuff. But that's just something to keep in mind. So if you want to follow guitar number 1 exactly, you can go. Or you can go and switch it up. Okay, so doing guitar number 1 followed by guitar number 2, that would be. Alright, so hopefully I didn't move too quick with all that stuff. Again, you just start on your first note of whatever guitar number 1 is doing. You count up 3 notes within the scale, whatever the scale happens to be. In this case, it's the A minor scale because you're in the key of A minor. And you just do exactly what guitar number 1 is doing. But if there's any bends or anything like that, you want to make sure that guitar number 2 is bending such that you're hitting a note that's still in key, okay? So sometimes the bend's going to be a different bend than guitar number 1's doing. Okay, Rick, so I hope that answered your question. That's just the basics of how you would go about harmonizing leads on the guitar. So if there's any other questions or if you want me to elaborate more about this subject, feel free to ask and I'll do so. Until then, I'll see you next time.